குட் மார்னிங் அண்ட் வெல்கம் பேக் டு மை பாட்காஸ்ட். வணக்கம். மீண்டும் என் பாட்காஸ்ட்டுக்கு வருகை. தம்பி சார் பெங்களூரில் இருந்ததுனால 2 நாள் ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ண முடியல. நேற்று ஒன்று ரெக்கார்ட் பண்ண அது இன்னைக்கு வரும். பட் அது பிஹேவியரல் சைக்காலஜியை பற்றி. நான் தம்பி சார் திரும்பி வந்துட்டாரு. ஸோ வி ஆர் பேக் ஆன் Law 15. Law 15 படி சார்.
Law 15. Crush your enemy totally. All great leaders since Moses have known that a feared enemy must be crushed completely. Sometimes they have learned this the hard way. If one ember is left alight, no matter how dimly it smolders, a fire will eventually break out. More is lost through stopping halfway than total annihilation. The enemy will recover and seek revenge. Crush him, not only in body but in spirit. The reversal of the law is the law should rarely be ignored. But it does sometimes happen that it is better to let your enemy destroy themselves. சொல்லுங்க ஆனந்த்.
எதிரியை மன்னிச்சு விட்டீங்கன்னா எதிரி உங்களை காலி பண்ணிடுவாங்கிறது தான் இந்த லாவோட தாத்பரியம். நிறைய பேர் ஷேக்ஸ்பியர் படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. ஷேக்ஸ்பியர்ஸ் கிரேட் பிளே ஜூலியஸ் சீசருங்கிறது இதை பற்றி தான். தி ஐட்ஸ் ஆஃப் மார்ச். சீசரை கொன்னது அவங்களோட ஓன் ஆட்கள் தான். சீசரை கொன்னது அவனோட ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸ் தான். இன்ஃபேக்ட் சீசரோட கடைசி வேர்ல்டு யூ2 ப்ரூட்டஸ். இந்த ப்ரூட்டஸுங்கிறது அவனோட ஃப்ரெண்டு. ஆக்சுவலி ஹீ தாட் தட் ஹி வாஸ் டூயிங் இட் ஃபார் தி குட் ஆஃப் ரோம். சீசரோட ஃப்ரெண்டு மார்க் ஆண்டனி அப்படிங்கிறவர் ஹி வில் டேக் ரிவெஞ்ச். அந்த ரிவெஞ்சில் எட் ப்ரூட்டஸ் இஸ் an honorable man அப்படின்னு சொல்லி முடிப்பார். பட் he will hunt every enemy of Caesar and kill them. அதில் கேட்டோ அப்படின்னு ஒரு பெரிய திங்கர், அவரோட ரைட்டிங்ஸ் இன்றைக்கும் ரொம்ப பாப்புலர். மோஸ்ட் ஆஃப் தீஸ் கைஸ் இன் ரோமன் டைம்ஸ், ஒன்ஸ் யூ ஆர் கார்னர்ட் அண்ட் லாஸ்ட் யூ ஹேவ் டு கமிட் சூசைட். இதே மாதிரி தான் ஜாப்பனீஸ் சமுராய் சிஸ்டம்லையும், இஃப் யூ ஹேவ் லாஸ்ட், they'll give you a chance to commit suicide by yourself. So you have to, the Japanese samurai is taught from beginning to commit suicide and not be scared of it by cutting his own body. So அவரே கொண்டுப்பாங்க சாமுராயில். அதுதான் இதோட லாவோட தாத்பரியம் தான். அது கருணை மர்சின்னு ஆள விட்டேன்னா அவன் திரும்பி வந்து ஒன்றா காலி பண்ணுவான். ஸோ இதில் மாடர்ன் வேர்ல்டில் நம்ம டெத்தை நேராக பார்க்குறது இல்லை. டெத் இஸ் ஐசோலேட்டட். டெத் ஹேப்பன்ஸ் இன் ஹாஸ்பிட்டல்ஸ். வி டோன்ட் see people die. In the olden times, death was common. There was no hospitals. People would die at home and people would die on the streets and we could watch it all around. இப்போ டெத்தை நம்ம ரொம்ப சானிடைஸ் பண்ணிட்டோம். அதனால் டையிங்கிறதே ரொம்ப பெயின்ஃபுல். அதை பற்றி ரொம்ப யோசிக்கிறோம் நம்ம. பட் எனிமி அந்த டைமில் நீங்கள் சாவடிக்கலைன்னா எனிமி திரும்பி உங்களை காலி பண்ணிடுவோம். இது நிறைய கேசஸில் உண்மைதான். ஐ எக்ஸ்பிளைன் திஸ் இன் மெனி கேசஸ். பட் இந்தியன் கான்டெக்ஸ்டில் பார்க்கணுன்னா என்டி ராமாராவ் அண்ட் சந்திரபாபு நாயுடு இஸ் அ வெரி ஃபேமஸ் கேஸ். டாக்டர் மேலே இருக்கிற பாசத்தினால சந்திரபாபு நாயுடு சன்னின்லாவை விட்டதுனால என்டி ராமாராவ் ஹேட் டு லூஸ் எவ்ரிதிங் இன் தி எண்ட். அவரை ஒரு காமெடி பீஸ் ஆகிட்டார். அதே மாதிரி இப்போ ரீசன்ட் டைம்ஸில் ராம்விலாஸ் பாஸ்வானோட சொந்த தம்பியை, பாஸ்வானோட பையனை பவருக்காக தீர்த்து கட்டிட்டார். ஸோ தி லா இஸ் வெரி கிளியர். இஃப் யூ பாம்பை வளர்த்தீங்கன்னா பாம்பு ஒரு நாளைக்கு அடிக்கும். பாம்பு அடிக்கணும்னா கம்ப்ளீட்டாக அடித்து கொளுத்திடணும். ரொம்ப கிளியர். நான் ரொம்ப பாலிட்டிக்ஸ் அண்ட் ரோமன் சயின்ஸை பற்றி பேசினேன். பிஸ்னஸ்லேயும் இது ட்ரூ. At that time, if Bill Gates had given a knockout blow to Apple, Apple wouldn't have survived. He allowed Apple to survive to the point till Steve Jobs came back He was forced to invest money in Apple. Today, Apple is a much more valuable company than Microsoft. And Bill Gates himself had to leave Microsoft. Steve Ballmer had to leave Microsoft. And then Satya Nadella had to reinvent it to survive. So they bought LinkedIn. They went on a per-use model. They went to cloud before Apple. This helped them survive. So, very clearly, don't allow your enemy to get away. Intel made the same mistake after Andy Grove. They were very confident that the mobile would not go through. So, when the shift happened from mobile to laptops, from laptops to mobile, Apple survived, Microsoft survived, Intel is threat. Very survival is under threat. Intel is only surviving because it makes very good processors for servers. இப்போ ஏதோ ஒரு கிராஃபிக்ஸ் ரிலீஸ் பண்ணியிருக்காங்க, பட் இட் இஸ் too little too late because NVIDIA has completely taken the graphics market. So Intel, which was a company which was very paranoid, which did not allow others to get in, made the mistake because it didn't have a paranoid at top. Another classic case is shoes. Adidas was dominating the shoe market. When I was a very young kid, that is less than 10, Adidas was the shoe to be in. In came Nike, made a shoe only for running, designed by coaches for running. And Nike is the dominant player. Adidas is nowhere to be seen. Adidas tried to buy Reebok and catch up with Nike. They made a mess of it. In fact, Reebok was a big brand in India at that time when Adidas bought it. Adidas did not know how to handle that company, and it failed miserably, and they had to sell Reebok again. So, you allow an upstart to grow, he will come back and get you. When you decide to annihilate an enemy, do it fully. If you let the smallest ember alive, it is going to get to you. So one has to be extremely careful of what is happening. So, பகைங்கிறது ரொம்ப டேஞ்சரஸ். பட் பகை நீங்கள் இன்வைட் பண்ணாமல் வந்துருச்சுன்னா எனிமியை கம்ப்ளீட்டாக தீர்த்து கட்டுறதை தவிர உங்களுக்கு வழியே கிடையாது. டெஸ்ட் மேட்ச்லேயும் இது டெத்து லைஃபுங்கிறத பார்க்க வேண்டாம். இஃப் யூ கிவ் தி ஆப்போசிட் டீம் ஈவன் அ ப்ரீதிங் சான்ஸ், they will come back and get you. The most famous incident ரெண்டு சொல்கிறேன். 2003 நினைக்கிறேன் test match in Calcutta, or 2001 test match in Calcutta. The Steve Waugh was going to win that match in Calcutta. He would have set a world record and would have won a historic series victory and broken the West Indies record for continuous number of wins. And India was the final frontier. Australia batted first, put up a very big score, put India to bat again. India collapsed. Lakshman made 70 odd runs, last man out, or he was not out. And instead of batting, choosing to bat again and give its bowlers a rest and asked its batsmen to bat out India. What Steve Waugh did is invite the Indians in to bat again. The John Wright, the Indian coach, pushed up Lakshman to number 3 because he had already got his pads on. Lakshman made a historic contribution. Rahul Dravid made a historic contribution. They batted the whole day one day, and the match, and Australia had to lose the match because the final day the ball wicket was turning square and Harbhajan ran through them. இது ஒன்றாச்சு. இதே மாதிரி லார்ட்ஸில் நாசர் ஹுசைன் கேப்டனாக இருந்தான், சௌரவ் கங்குலி கேப்டனாக இருந்தான். It was the finals of a tournament, and Nasir Hussain won the toss, batted first, put more than 300 runs on the board. Those days 300 was a big number. India was 86 for 5. Its entire top batting order, Tendulkar, Ganguly and the rest had gone. Only Kaif and Yuvraj were there, and they batted its way out. And Yuvraj out ஆனப்புறம் கூட கேஃப் கடைசி வரைக்கும் இருந்து ஹர்பஜன் சிங் அண்ட் டெய்லோட மேட்சை ஜெயிச்சிட்டோம். அதுலேருந்து இந்தியாவுக்கு என்ன ஆயிடுச்சுன்னா, இந்த 2 இன்சிடெண்ட்டுக்கு அப்புறம் எந்த லெவலில் இந்தியா விட்டானோ இந்தியா திரும்பி வந்து மேட்ச் ஜெயிச்சிடும் அப்படிங்கிற ஒரு பயம் ரெஸ்ட் ஆஃப் தி வேர்ல்டுக்கு வந்துடுச்சு. இதுதான் பிரிஸ்பெயின்லேயும் இப்போ நடந்தது. யூ ஹவ் டு சி ஏ கண்டினியூஷன் ஆஃப் இட். பிரிஸ்பெயினில் இந்தியாவோட டாப் டீமே இல்லவே இல்லை. இட்ஸ் Virat Kohli had gone home, Ashwin was sick, injured, and the bowlers did not have more than 5 test matches between them. And that team Bumrah was injured, and that novice team crashed Australia and Australia was up in that match. It was Thakur and Washington Sundar Adavuttu. They allowed India to come into that match. The partnership between Shardul Thakur and Washington Sundar allowed India into the game, and India promptly returned the favor and thrashed them. So always, and Rishabh Pant played a brilliant innings on the last day. Pujara வந்து உடம்பெல்லாம் அடி வாங்கி அன்றைக்கி நாள் ஃபுல்லாக ஆட்டம். Never give the opponent a glimmer of a hope. If you do it, he's going to come back and crush you. I had said this somewhere before. Amritraj and Connors playing the quarters of a Grand Slam event. Amritraj was 2 sets to up, 30-15 up, serving to win the match. And he was a break up in the third set. Angendu, he allowed Connors to win that match. This is never give a player a chance. The other famous match is between Steffi Graf and Jana Novotná. It was a match for Novotná to win. Graf won the first set, Novotná the second, and the third set 4-1 up, and she had a match point, and from there she lost. This is what I am saying. Don't give your opponent even a whiff of a chance. That's what this law is saying.
ஆனந்த் சார் போனால் போகிறதுன்னு ஒரு 15 மினிட்ஸ் கழிச்சிட்டு தம்பி இருக்கிற லைன்லன்னு பேச ஓடுறாரு. இதில் வந்து ஒரு கீ திங் என்ன ஞாபகம் வச்சுக்கணுன்னா, ஒரு எனிமி நீங்கள் டிஸ்ட்ராய் பண்ணிட்டீங்கன்னா தட் டசன்ட் மீன் த வார் இஸ் ஓவர். இட்ஸ் ஜஸ்ட் அ பேட்டில். ஒரு பேட்டில் நீங்கள் சண்டை வாழ்க்கை வந்து இஸ் அ வார். ஈச் டே யூ ஃபைஸ் நியூ எனிமீஸ். இவர் சொன்ன கிரிக்கெட் எக்ஸாம்பிளே நம்ம எடுத்துட்டோன்னா, what happened to India during the 1996 famous World Cup is a very dark chapter in Indian cricketing history. First we had a semi-final match, I think, against what we call before the semi-final. Let me finish, Anand. Give me one chance, please. Give your voice a break, so I just give the outlay of the thing, then you can add in your points to it. What happened was we first, before the semi-final match, we faced off Pakistan in a very emotional match. And India won Pakistan, and we were feeling very high as a nation. And the team was feeling very happy with itself that we crushed Pakistan and we beat Pakistan. And we continued our record of thrashing Pakistan in World Cup matches and never losing. And the commentators and the team, everybody were in a high. And we said, okay, who are we facing in semi-finals? We're facing this, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka? Sri Lanka, sir, nobody. They're a small cricketing country. We dismissed it. And we thought India is going to just have a quick walkover and get to the finals and probably meet Australia. Then the match came to Eden Gardens. And Anand, why didn't you tell us what happened in Eden Gardens, which led to a very shameful event where Clive Lloyds had to award the match finally?
Yes, it was a very dark day in Indian history. Everybody told Azharuddin not to. Azharuddin won the toss and put Sri Lanka into bat. And the groundsman had told him not to do it. And had we batted first, we would have won the match. There were two different pitchers playing on the same day. The pitch crumbled in the second. And except Tendulkar, nobody could play the Sri Lankan spinners, especially Mullaya Muralidharan. And once Tendulkar went, the rest collapsed. And Vinod Kambli was still there. And the crowd got very furious. It misbehaved and did not allow the match to continue. Till the great Clive Lloyd, who had won 2 World Cups and lost one to Kapil Dev, had to award the match to Sri Lanka without completing. It is a very shameful chapter in Indian cricket. All because we made the wrong decision of batting first, of fielding first, in spite of the groundsman warning you to not to do it.
So it's an important thing to remember that life is a war which goes on all your life till the last day, and you'll face series of enemies. Just because you manage to defeat one enemy and annihilate him, don't think it's all done now and dusted and that's it. You can relax. If you tend to do that, very soon one of your new enemies is going to take that opportune moment and make sure you're destroyed for good. And once your enemy destroys you and annihilates you and destroys your spirit, it is very difficult to resurrect yourself from those positions and come back to life. What do you say, Anand?
Very difficult. Very, very difficult. Comeback பண்றதுங்கிறது ரொம்ப difficult. Not everybody is a Jimmy Amarnath who can come back.
Correct. So if you have an option in life to avoid doing the comeback, please avoid it at all cost. Though you see it romanticized in movies and books and everywhere, that coming back and being a comeback kid and all that, very few do. And it's a very painful thing. So if you have any opportunity in life to take one up, take it. Don't let it go and say I can do a comeback. A lot of people, kids make a mistake thinking, I'll miss the exam this year and do it as an arrear next year. That's the dumbest thing to do. When you have an opportunity to clear the paper, clear it. When you have an opportunity for a promotion, take it. Always when you have opportunities in life to move up. Because you cannot assume next time around it'll be in the same position you're in right now.
That's true. Ask me, I'll tell you.
Chari Anand, why don't you give me the conclusion to this conversation so then we can say our goodbyes?
Yeah. So the law is very clear. Not every opponent is your enemy. Whether it is a field of life, corporate or sport or politics. You don't have to make it as violent as killing people. But you should know how to shut out people for good. If you don't know how to shut out people for good, and you even give them a chance, they are going to come back and get you. This has been seen many times. In politics, in sports, in business, like I told you. This is a lesson. This is a lesson that you should never forget. Never, 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 ever give a chance to somebody. If you can bury them for good. Use every trick in the book to bury them for good. Business la unnur famous example, the way Jet Airways buried Tatas. For nearly 25 years, Tatas never got a chance to set up an airlines because of Jet and Naresh Goyal and because of his influence. But finally, leverage killed him. And ironically, Jet Airways and TCS went public around the same time they put their IPO. Jet or leverage killed it. Right? Jet's leverage killed it. And the mighty Tatas are now straight away got control. They have become the second largest airlines. And believe me, the new version of Jet is going to have to do extraordinary things to catch up with the Tatas. Very difficult. So, very, very difficult. When JRD Tata set up watches with Xerox Desai, HMT was the dominant player. And today nobody knows where is HMT. They just annihilated HMT. And when they knew that watches were gone, they moved to jewelry. From jewelry, they moved to everything. Now they are a consumer-driven company. Watches is just one division, one thing they do. They make specs, they make silk sarees, they make perfume, they make several things. So, and imagine HMT could have been all that. So, and so this is a lesson you never forget. Especially a mighty opponent who is a giant but who is very slow off the blocks. If you have got him knocked down, keep him down. You allow him up, he is going to give you one. Watch it. Okay, guys. Thank you.
Thanks, Simon.
Thanks. Bye.
Nice to be
Yeah,
back.
bye.
And we'll catch up with another law tomorrow.